Every single spring, millions of people walk into garden centers, spend real money, bring plants home, and by late summer, those containers look abandoned. Not because those people are bad gardeners, because they were sold the wrong plants. There is a category of perennial that does something most plants refuse to do. It spreads on its own. It fills containers without being asked. It comes back every single year without being replanted. And it does all of this while most gardeners are still at the nursery, spending money they did not need to spend. Today we are covering 10 of them. Fast-spreading, container-proven, all-year performers. And the one at number 7 is the one I have never seen anyone talk about in the context of container gardening. Stay with me. Before plant number 1, drop in the comments right now. Are you growing perennials in containers already? Or are you starting from scratch this season? I read every single comment, and your answer is going to shape the content I make next. Tell me now, plant number 1, Creeping Jenny. This plant does not wait for permission to take over a container. Within a single growing season, a single starter plant will cascade over the edges of a 16-inch pot and hang 12 to 18 inches below the rim in dense, overlapping golden green coins of foliage. It is spreading while you sleep. The golden variety, Aurea, does something that almost no other container plant does. It holds its color in shade. Most golden foliage plants fade to yellow-green the moment you move them out of full sun. Creeping Jenny Aurea stays electric. It almost glows in low light. That single trait makes it more valuable in container arrangements than plants that cost 3 times as much. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. It handles standing water that would kill lavender, sedum, or Russian sage in 48 hours. In wet corners, in shaded spots, in containers that get neglected and overwatered, Creeping Jenny not only survives, it accelerates. Water it once when planted. After that, it finds its own rhythm. In fall, the golden foliage deepens to warm amber before going dormant. In spring, it returns before almost anything else in your containers, giving you color while everything around it is still waking up. Do not fertilize it. Do not fuss with it. Do not move it around looking for the perfect spot. Plant it at the edge of a container, point it downward, and let it do what it was built to do. Plant number 2, Ajuga. Most people who see Ajuga in someone else's container ask the same question. What is that? Because it does not look like a typical plant. The foliage comes in deep chocolate burgundy, purple bronze, and variegated cream and green. The spring flower spikes are electric blue-purple standing 4 to 6 inches above the leaves. In a container, that combination looks intentional, in a way that takes most gardeners years to learn how to achieve. Here is what the label at the garden center will not tell you. Ajuga spreads through runners, horizontal stems that reach out from the mother plant, touch soil, root themselves, and become independent plants. In a container, this means it fills every gap. In a mixed arrangement, it weaves itself between other plants and creates the kind of layered, naturalistic look that professional designers charge real money to produce. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Thrives in shade to partial shade, which means it solves the problem every container gardener eventually faces. What do I grow where the sun does not reach? Ajuga is the answer. Black scallop is the variety that stops people in their tracks. Nearly black foliage with scalloped edges. Blue flower spikes in May. It does not look real. It looks like something out of a botanical illustration. Plant it once, divide it every 2 to 3 years, and you will have enough plants to fill every container on your property for free. Plant number 3, Sedum spurium. This is not the tall, upright sedum you have seen before. Sedum spurium grows flat and low, 3 to 6 inches, and spreads outward in dense mats of small, fleshy, drought-storing leaves. It covers the surface of a container the way a living lid would. No bare soil, no gaps, no weeds getting a foothold. Dragon's blood is the variety that earns its name. Green foliage in summer. As temperatures drop in September, it begins transitioning, green to red to deep burgundy. Until by November, it looks like something lit from below. The color intensifies with cold. Neglect intensifies it further. This plant is rewarding you for doing nothing, and it does not stop. Established Sedum spurium has survived documented droughts of 8 weeks with 0 supplemental watering and returned without permanent damage. In a container, that means your summer travel, your busy weeks, your forgotten watering schedule. None of it kills this plant. Zones 3 through 8, full sun to light shade, never fertilize. Poor soil produces better structure, better color, and better spread than rich amended soil. The less you give it, the more it gives back. Plant number 4, Maizus reptans. Most gardeners have never heard this name. That is exactly why you should grow it. Maizus spreads by creeping stems that root wherever they touch moist soil. It grows only 1 to 2 inches tall, forming a dense, flat carpet of tiny, bright green leaves. In late spring, it covers itself in small purple and white flowers, so densely that the foliage disappears beneath them. In a shallow container or a wide bowl planting, it looks like someone poured purple across the surface. It tolerates foot traffic. It tolerates wet soil. It tolerates the kind of shade that makes most ground covers give up and die. Hardy in zones 5 through 8. In milder zones, it stays semi-evergreen through winter, holding green color in containers when everything around it has gone dormant. The reason this plant belongs in your container garden is simple. It fills the spaces other plants leave behind. It does not compete for vertical space. It does not shade out its neighbors. It travels quietly along the soil surface, fills every bare inch, and produces a flower display in May that costs you nothing after the first season. Plant it once, it handles the rest. Plant number 5, Serbian bellflower. This plant blooms from May through September. 4 months of continuous star-shaped lavender blue flowers cascading over the edges of containers in waves so dense you can barely see the foliage beneath them. 4 months. Most perennials give you 4 to 6 weeks. Serbian bellflower gives you the entire growing season. It spreads through underground runners and self-seeding simultaneously, which means it fills its container, then looks for more space, then produces seeds that find their way into adjacent pots. Within 2 seasons, one plant becomes a colony. Within 3 seasons, you have more plants than you know what to do with, and every single one of them is producing that continuous waterfall of blue lavender flowers from late spring through late summer. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Tolerates drought once established, grows in full sun to partial shade. The one maintenance task it requires, cut it back hard after the first flush of blooms fades in midsummer. It will respond within 2 weeks with a second flush of flowering that carries through to frost. That is the complete care requirement. 1 haircut, 4 months of flowers. That exchange is not fair to you. It is overwhelmingly in your favor. I want to stop here for a moment because something has been sitting with me while putting this list together. There is a way of understanding plants, how they spread, how they take over, how they were used before nurseries existed, that you simply cannot find in any modern gardening book. I have looked. I found it somewhere else. A source so old that the people who wrote it were gardening before the United States existed as a country, nearly 400 years old. What it describes about fast-spreading plants and how our ancestors actually used them, not just for beauty, but for survival, completely reframed how I think about everything on this list. I studied that source and wrote it all down myself, so you would not have to go digging through 400 years of text on your own. If you want to, you can check our channel store. Plant number 6, Liriope. Here is a plant that does something almost nothing else will do. It looks excellent in every single season of the year, without any intervention from you. Spring, fresh, arching, dark green, strap-like foliage emerges clean and structured. Summer, purple flower spikes rise above the foliage in August when most perennials are fading. Fall, dark berries follow the flowers, adding texture and wildlife value. Winter, the foliage holds, evergreen, structural, green when every other container looks dead. 12 months of container interest from one plant. That is the calculation that makes Liriope one of the most efficient plants you can grow. It spreads through underground rhizomes, slowly and deliberately, building a dense, weed-suppressing mass that requires division every 4 to 5 years to keep it productive. When you divide it, you get more plants. Free. Indefinitely. Hardy in zones 5 through 10. Handles full shade, dry soil, drought, and containers that get forgotten. Deer-resistant. Virtually pest-free. Big Blue is the variety with the most dramatic flower display. Variegata adds cream-edged foliage that brightens dark corners in ways that most shade plants simply cannot match. Plant number 7. And this is the one I promised you at the beginning. Prunella vulgaris. Self-heal. Almost no one in the modern container gardening world talks about this plant. And that gap is one of the most significant oversights I have come across in years of studying what actually thrives in pots. Prunella spreads aggressively through runners and self-seeding. It grows 6 to 12 inches tall with deep green lance-shaped leaves and produces dense purple flower spikes from June through September that are among the highest value pollinator sources of any plant this size. Bees find it from distances that seem impossible. The moment it flowers, your container becomes a landing zone. But here is what separates Prunella from everything else on this list. It was not just grown for beauty. For centuries, going back to when European settlers first arrived in North America and found native communities already growing it, this plant was considered one of the most useful things a person could have, growing close to their home. Its common name is not decorative. It is a description. Hardy in zones 4 through 9. Full sun to full shade, tolerates drought, wet soil, poor soil, compacted soil, and deep neglect. It is, by almost any measure, the most adaptable spreading perennial you can put in a container. The fact that it is also beautiful is almost secondary to what it is. Plant number 8. Prostrate speedwell. In May, this plant detonates. There is no other word for it. A mat of low, creeping green foliage, 4 to 6 inches tall, spreading 18 to 24 inches wide, suddenly covers itself in intense electric blue flowers so completely that the green disappears. For 3 to 4 weeks, your container looks like a piece of the sky fell into it. After blooming, it remains as a dense, weed-suppressing ground cover that holds container soil moisture, reduces watering frequency, and provides genuine structure for taller plants growing above it. It is doing 3 jobs simultaneously without being asked to do any of them. Hardy in zones 4 through 8. Full sun. Average to dry, well-drained soil. Drought tolerant once established. Tree hane is the gold foliage variety that adds a second layer of color contrast even when not in bloom. Blue flowers against golden chartreuse leaves is a combination that professional designers pay attention to. Divided every 3 years in early spring. Each division is a fully independent plant. The math compounds in your favor every single season. Plant number 9, barren strawberry. The name is unfortunate. The plant is exceptional. Waldsteinia spreads through stolons, surface runners, forming dense, low mats of semi-evergreen foliage that hold color through most winters in zones 4 through 8. In spring, it produces small, bright yellow flowers that cover the mat completely. The foliage resembles strawberry leaves closely enough that it creates a lush, edible garden aesthetic, without the maintenance demands of actual strawberries. In containers, it does something particularly useful. It stays below 4 inches tall, which means it fills the surface and edges of large containers without competing with taller centerpiece plants for light or visual dominance. It is the perfect base layer. The plant that makes everything planted above it look more intentional, more layered, more designed. No serious pest pressure, no disease issues, deer resistant, tolerates dry shade, which is one of the most difficult conditions in container gardening and one that eliminates most spreading ground covers from consideration. Plant it once at the base of a larger container arrangement. By the second season, you will not remember what the bare soil looked like. Plant number 10, creeping phlox. In April, creeping phlox does something that no other spreading perennial can replicate at the same scale. It covers itself, completely without gaps, in flowers. Not a few flowers scattered across the foliage. The foliage disappears entirely beneath a solid mass of pink, white, lavender, or magenta blooms, so dense that the container looks like it is overflowing with color. For 3 to 4 weeks in early spring, when almost nothing else in your container garden is performing, creeping phlox is giving you the most dramatic display of the entire year. After blooming, the needle-like evergreen foliage provides 12-month structure. It holds green through winter. It does not die back. It does not look bare or abandoned between seasons. In zones 3 through 9, it handles hard freezes without protection, returning each spring with more spread, more foliage density, and more flowers than the season before. Candy Stripe produces white flowers with a pink center stripe, the most visually striking variety available. Emerald Blue produces lavender blue flowers over bright green foliage. Scarlet Flame is deep magenta red, the highest contrast variety against green container backgrounds. Trim it back by 1/3 immediately after blooming ends. That one task, 5 minutes per container, is the complete annual maintenance requirement. In return, it comes back the following spring, fuller, denser, and more floriferous than the year you planted it. A plant that rewards you more the longer you keep it. Every year, compounding. That is the promise every plant on this list is making to you. 10 plants, all fast spreading, all container proven, all coming back every single year without asking for much in return. Tell me in the comments which one of these you are adding to your containers this season. And tell me your zone, because zone changes everything. If this video gave you something real, subscribe to Gaia Lost Vault right now. Every week we go deeper into the knowledge that most gardening channels have never looked for. You do not want to be outside of that. Go fill those containers. I will see you in the next one.